so I thought I would do a tour of the kitchen before I cook. So the kitchen on this boat is quite small. You can see it's from the edge of the cushion there until the back of where the hob is. So I'll insert the exact square footage of it. But for me it works really well. It's a really functional space. I've got a good amount of worktop space. So when we bought this boat, we replaced this worktop. So for reference, this is what the old kitchen used to look like before we redid it. I really like to cook, so having somewhere to prep food and stuff was really important. So start at the side. I've got my little rack here, so I keep all my cutlery at the top, and then underneath that is hand soap and Coco's pills. So that's what's in there. I've got my little colander, my fruit basket, which doesn't have any fruit in it at the moment, and a little plant. Underneath there is the fire blanket. So starting at the kitchen, I've got my Vitamix Blender that I got for my 30th birthday. I absolutely love it. It makes sauces, soups, ice cream, smoothies, everything. Behind the Vitamix I have a 240 volt plug. Actually just thinking I should probably put the light on. Not sure if that's made it any better. But behind here is a 240 plug. I've got 2 plugs on that side and 2 USBs. I also have my 12 volt control panel in here, which tells me at a glance how the batteries are. I also have 2 USB ports and 12 volt like lighter, car lighter thing that goes in there. So that's that. And then underneath the Vitamix is the 12 volt fridge freezer and the coffee I spilt on the floor this morning. Ignore that. So it's a fridge and it's got a chest freezer box. Works really well, doesn't use a lot of power. Really pleased with it. Beside that is the kitchen cupboard where I store like the dog food, cleaning products, toilet paper, kitchen roll, things like that. It's a deep cupboard, so it goes from there right the way back. So that stores loads of things. I won't show you because it's very messy inside. On the top here I've got a big deep sink, so I wanted a big deep sink so that I could wash dishes and pots and pans, and also when the dogs are really dirty they go in the sink. And on top of the sink I have this chopping board, which also forms as a lid, so when we're moving I can just put all the dishes in there and put the lid on and not worry about it. Then I just keep a chopping board on the top here, and then when I am cooking I can just slide it across to this space and it protects this worktop. So beside that is the coffee machine, the love of my life. I couldn't be without this now. It is extravagant, but I love it. Behind that is the utensil rack. I just find that having things easy to grab just makes life so much easier. So I have all the ones that I use on a daily basis just there. And beside that is the magnetic knife rack. Underneath there is the 4-burner hob. And then I have a grill and an oven, and right down the very bottom, this really handy, is somewhere to store all my pots. So I really appreciate that. So above the coffee machine and the cooker is this black rack, and that used to be brass. When I bought the boat we painted it just so it fits in more with the style, and I just store the kettle in there, the measuring jugs, the colander that has lots of sweets in it, the chocolate powder that goes on top of the coffee, and some bowls. And above there on the right hand side I have coconut oil, vitamins and things, and then a couple of dishes which also have some sweets in them, coffee mugs. And then the top I've got glasses, loaf of bread and some more bowls, and my nice little ivy plant. So above the pantry cupboard is where I store the plates. So the plates are on a plate rack, and I just painted that grey to match the side of the boat. So in terms of food storage, I have these 2 cupboards here, and above that obviously the alcohol. I've got a few selections of gin and a little hand sanitizer there as well. So that cupboard there is like, well, they're both kind of just like a pantry. I've got pasta, sauces, oats, all that sort of stuff. This table, this door front here actually is the tabletop, so that's really convenient. I don't have to store 2 pieces of wood. And you might be wondering why the bungee cord is there. That's because when I start the engine and move the boat, the table vibrates off and I'm worried it's going to land on the dogs. So I just strap it in. There's a handle down there and a handle at the top, and that holds it nicely secure. So I had a little incident with some rice pudding and it kind of exploded in the oven. So I'm just going to try and clean it, but I just wondered if anybody else had to disassemble their oven to try and clean the front glass. So there was 4 screws here, here and 2 on this side. So I've taken 3 of them out to try and get this manky piece of glass out. So it just feels a bit random to have to take it apart to clean it. I hope I haven't broke it. That would be my luck. Anyway, we'll see. So I'm wondering if I actually need to take the big screws out as well, because that won't... Oh, will it? Got it. That's disgusting. I don't even know why I'm showing this on camera. It's absolutely rank. Anyway, I'll get it cleaned. I just realised as I was editing this that the next few clips I am in my pyjamas. So excuse that. So I've tightened the handle up. It's a lot better. It's still a little bit loose, but it's better than it was. So the screws for these bits are just through this hole. I'm just going to tighten that up if I can. Yeah. So one of the issues with having the coal fire is that the hoover just dies. So I'm going to strip it and clean it, and I've also ordered replacement filters which should arrive tomorrow, and then I'm going to fit those. But it just gets so clogged. I've already hoovered this dust twice today and this is what's left. There's so much, it just goes everywhere. Honestly, the things you thought you would never do and you find yourself doing living on a boat. Never thought I would have to learn how to strip out a hoover. Pretty sure this bit in here is not meant to get wet, and it's a little bit wet. These things come apart so easily and they're impossible to put back together again. So I thought whilst I was cleaning the kitchen and tidying up and things that I would show you that it is actually possible to cook a full Sunday roast in a tiny little galley kitchen. I'm going to show you what I made for this Sunday roast. Obviously with COVID I wasn't able to have friends over to share it with, so I just cooked it and ate most of it myself, gave some of it away, froze the rest, blah blah blah. So I made a cheesecake to start, and then I made a butternut squash Wellington with some roast potatoes, roasted vegetables and things like that. So I hope you like it. So I'm going to start off with making a white chocolate and lime cheesecake. So I've got butter, soft cheese, 2 limes, ginger nut biscuits for the base, double cream, white chocolate and caster sugar. So I'm just melting the butter now. So I've melted the 100 grams of butter. I'm just going to break up the ginger nut biscuits now. I've broken down the biscuits and melted the butter and mixed the two together, and now they're in this tin. So I'm going to put this tin in the fridge, let it set whilst I make the cheesecake filling. So I've just got Hugo to come and clean up the mess. Spilt some biscuits on the floor. Who needs a hoover? Good boy, Hugh. Was that nice? Was it? So I've put 100 grams of white chocolate into the bowl. I'm going to melt that over hot water. I've added 200 grams of caster sugar and 300 ml of double cream into this bowl, and I'm going to mix it up. So this is the mixer I'm going to use. One of the things when you're on a boat is you need to think about how much power these use. So this one is 300 watt, my inverter is 800 watt I think, so that'll be able to run it fine. So I'm worried as I'm filming mixing the cream and the sugar together with one hand that it's going to go everywhere. So I'm not going to film the rest of it, I'll show you when it's done. So this is what the double cream and caster sugar looks like when it's blended or whisked together. So it's nice and thick. So I'm going to juice and then grate some zest from the limes. So I've juiced 2 limes, this is the juice in here. I still need to grate some zest, so I'll do that afterwards. The chocolate's melted now, so we've got 100 grams of white chocolate melted. I'm going to add in the cream cheese to this mix and then fold the cream cheese and the white chocolate with the cream and the sugar. So I'm going to add in a bit of the white chocolate and cream cheese mixture into the double cream mixture. I'm going to add it a little bit at a time because I don't want the chocolate to solidify. So that's the mixture folded. I'm going to add in the lime juice now and a bit of the lime zest. I'm going to keep some back to decorate the top, and I kept a little bit of chocolate back to drizzle that over the top as well. So that's my cheesecake done. I'm going to put this in the fridge and chill it now. This recipe says it makes 4, but it makes a lot more than 4. Andrew's tried this cheesecake before, so he can vouch for it being really tasty. I actually made it for my exam in school, for my, I think it was home economics exam. So yeah, looks good, I'm pleased with it. This is my audience while I'm cooking. Hugo, what is it? You want to go clean up the crumbs? Do you? Beanie? You just staying there? The stack of dishes isn't too bad. Normally it's a lot worse than this, but I haven't made too much of a mess of the kitchen. So I've made my cheesecake. Now I'm going to make the main course, which is a butternut squash Wellington. This one is a little bit trickier. I've made this a couple of times before, but I don't feel that confident with it. I set myself the goal this year of trying to cook with more pastry things, just to learn a new skill. So I'm going to make the butternut squash Wellington, and then I'm going to serve it with maple roasted carrots and parsnips and baby potatoes and sprouts. So I'm going to start making that now. So this Wellington is made up of half of a roasted butternut squash, 100 grams of spinach, loads of mushrooms, can't remember exactly how many, an onion, garlic, tahini instead of brown rice paste, I think. I quite like the taste of tahini. Mixed herbs, olive oil and pine nuts, and obviously the puff pastry. I did cheat a little bit and I got a ready rolled one, so that's the one I'm going to use. If you wondered what that noise was while I was talking, it was Coco having a drink. And now she's going to have some food. So I'm going to start off by preheating my nicely cleaned oven at 200 degrees, and then I'm going to roast the butternut squash. So I'm going to peel it and slice it in half lengthways and then roast it with olive oil and salt in the oven. So even though this galley's small, it's really functional. So I have my most used utensils hanging here. So I'm going to start with the peeler and peel the butternut squash. So I've chopped the butternut squash, de-seeded it and drizzled it with olive oil and a sprinkling of salt. I won't show you, well I haven't showed you cutting the butternut squash because my cutting skills aren't that good. So it's cut anyway. It's really hard to cut butternut squash because this is a thick one. But you want one that's, I'm not even going to go there. So I'm going to put it in the oven now and roast it for about 45 minutes to an hour And whilst that's roasting, I'm going to prepare the other vegetables and cook the mushroom mixture that goes in the Wellington as well. So I'll only use one half of this butternut squash, but I'll keep the other roasted half and make it into a soup. The onion is chopped in the pan with olive oil and some salt. I'm going to add some lazy garlic in, and I've also chopped up the mushrooms. So this recipe uses a lot of mushrooms, so they're just sitting on this tray just now, and I will add them into the pot once the onion and the garlic is cooked through a bit. If you're looking for a recipe book, I will highly recommend this one. It's the NARROWBOAT Chef's Winter Warmers collection. It's got loads of really good recipes in it and some stunning photography of the canals and the boat. And of course, oh, where is it? Pixel. She's so sweet. So yeah, I recommend checking that out. I'll leave a link to it in the description below. So this is what the mushroom and onion and garlic mixture looks like when it's cooked for about 20 minutes in total. So the mushrooms go nice and soft. So I'm going to add in the mixed herbs and the tahini now, and that'll give it a really nice creamy taste. So I've added the tahini, the mixed herbs, and also some pine nuts. So I'm going to let that cook a little bit longer just to dry up the extra water, and then I will add in the spinach. So the mushroom mixture is done. I've got in here onions, garlic, mushrooms, pine nuts, spinach, mixed herbs, and tahini. So this is what forms the base. So you lay out the pastry, this goes on top, and then the roasted butternut squash, and then you put a little bit more on just to cover it. This tastes and smells so good. So that's the Wellington made up. I'm going to, well, that's the insides put in. So I'm going to fold the pastry over now and then put a little bit of almond milk on. So that's the Wellington sealed. Doesn't look that neat. I used a different pastry this time as I used last time, but I'm sure it'll taste nice. So I'm going to wrap it up and cook it. So when you have a small kitchen, I think it's always better to wash as you go. I've got quite a lot of, well, not too much actually, I normally make a lot more mess of dishes to do. This will be the second lot after I made the cheesecake earlier. So I'm going to do the washing up, and that's it. To go along with my Wellington, I've got some carrots chopped here and some parsnips, some new potatoes and sprouts. So I've cooked enough for myself for maybe 2 meals, maybe 3. Obviously under normal circumstances I would invite somebody over to have dinner with me, but because of COVID we can't. So I'm basically going to eat the Wellington for the next couple of days and then freeze the rest. Well, actually I'll freeze it first, obviously I won't leave it for a couple of days and then freeze it. So I'm going to use maple syrup and olive oil and salt to roast the carrots and parsnips. And for the potatoes and sprouts, I've got some mixed herbs, some paprika, some chilli, and I'm going to add in some olive oil and salt to these as well. And then I'm going to put them in the oven. So I can't really put all 3 things in the oven at once because they don't really cook. So I'm going to cook these first for about 15 minutes, then move them down and then cook them, and then I cook the Wellington. And that's the plan. Also, just to add in, I am super excited about this meal. Sometimes it's really nice to just cook yourself something and be a bit, you know, special. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, I'll let you know when it's done. So this is the end result. It was absolutely delicious. I really enjoyed it. I hope that you enjoyed this vlog. It's something a little bit different, but just to show you that you can cook a Sunday lunch in a tiny little kitchen. So yeah, I'll see you next week. Bye!